please. Yeah. I thought I was going to have to rely on projecting to the back of the room, which is hard when you can't see the back of the room. I might just seeing lots of darkness here, so if I'm not looking at you, it's because I genuinely do not know where you are. So I should introduce myself. My name is Tom. Most of my friends know me as TJ, which is how I'm mostly known around here. I'm an amateur pole dancer. If you were paying attention, I was over there during the first number. So you did notice. So, you know what the theme of this is, and you know what I'm going to talk about. I think for me, it's so important to talk about stuff like this because everybody has a complicated relationship with their body. For me, I know it might seem like I'm really confident in my body because I was able to do that, but that's not always true. Some days are good, some days are bad. That's an improvement of what it used to be like. I used to be a really awkward looking teenager. So I had really thick glasses, I had braces, really painful braces. I hate braces, but anyway, I also got to that stage where, you know when you get rebellious when you're 16 and you're like, I'm not going to wear my retainers because why should I have to do it? And then you end up with crooked teeth and you're like, oh yeah, that's why. So I had really painful acne on my face, my chest, my body. There's still scars on it that I know I can see, and I've learned to accept that actually a lot of people aren't looking at that, but I am. And I think everybody has that, right? You have something where you look in the mirror and you always look at that one thing about yourself, or two things, or three things. And actually most people probably aren't looking at that, but you are. It's like when you see a photograph of yourself and you look to see whether that flaw is showing, and nobody else is looking at that, because everyone else is looking at themselves, right? You know that feeling. Have you guys ever had, okay, this is the closest we're going to get to audience participation, I promise. If you have ever looked at a photograph of yourself at any point and gone, oh, I look so much better than I do now, put your hand up. Right. Now, put your hand up if you felt at the time of that photograph that you looked amazing. Yeah, it's 5 people? 6 people? And isn't that sad? And the reason why that is because having a perfect body or having a good body or whatever isn't actually physical. It's completely mental. You can have a goal of looking like something, but then you'll reach there and you still won't feel good about yourself because you've been trying to chase the physical goal. You haven't actually learned to love yourself. And that's the big difference. For me, pole dancing was really, really important in learning to love my body. My weight's gone up and down. I have various feelings about how I look with my clothes off, but most of you have seen it by now. I'm sure you all have an opinion. But I started pole dancing 3 years ago, and I thought, oh my God, I'm going to come in and there are going to be all these ripped guys, and I'm just going to show up wearing as much clothing as possible. And that doesn't really work in pole because if you allow cloth to touch the pole, you will slide. And I kind of prefer not to die. Feel like on balance, slightly more important. But I think what also I learned was that there were so many people in that class who had completely different body types to me. It wasn't all people that looked a certain way. And the people who were best at it weren't people who looked like cover models. That's not how it worked. And for me, that was really instructive because it really shifted my focus from what my body looked like to what it could do. And once I started looking at that and just kind of going, okay, there might be somebody with washboard abs, but they probably can't do what I can do, and there's going to be stuff that I can't do that they can do, and that's fine. It's not better or worse, it's just different, and that's okay. That really shifted things for me because I can give myself credit for that. It's hard, I think, also as a person of color, and for me as a brown person, I think there's so little representation in gay media. Like, I get that it is really hard to look at cover models and go, oh my God, I wish I looked like that. I didn't even have that. Like in gay media, where do you see representation of brown people? You just don't. So it wasn't even like, oh, this like the standard of beauty is unattainable because I would have to work so hard and I thought, it's like, no, I just genuinely will never look like that. I just won't. And so I just didn't have a frame of reference. I didn't have a frame of reference for, you know, if I couldn't imagine myself as being sexy because I'd be like, well, what would that even look like? At what point am I going to look a certain way that is going to be sexy? I have no frame of reference at all. And it's really hard, I think. I think it's hard to appreciate if you haven't really been through that. So I have decided that, you know, you have two broad options when it comes to your body. You can hate your body, or you can love your body. I'm oversimplifying it because, you know, I don't want to keep talking for 2 hours. I'm not really sure that you want to listen to me talk for 2 hours. But if you hate your body, or if you dislike your body, you might go, well, you know what, that pushes me to diet, that pushes me to exercise, whatever, it pushes me to get better. But this comes back to the point I was making earlier. Great, you hate your body, you're still going to hate your body when you've done that. You're still going to hate your body when you've reached whatever goal it is, and also you're not going to give your body any leeway for not being whatever the body of whatever person is in the picture you're looking at. But if you love your body and you come from a point of, okay, these are things I want my body to be, or I'm happy with my body as it is, then you're much more likely to give it a lot more slack, and you're much more likely to be happy with what you achieve, if you want to achieve anything at all. Let's use an analogy here. Think of your body as like a different person. So you are separate, and you've got this personal assistant. So I'll call my personal assistant Carl. So Carl is in charge of keeping me alive. Carl has to make sure that my heart keeps pumping, that my neurons keep firing, that my lungs keep pumping air. Carl does not get any days off. Carl does not get to sleep, because if my heart stops beating when I sleep, I die. So Carl has a really hard job, right? Carl never stops, and he has to deal with injury, illness, trauma, all sorts of crap, you know. Or I had a really long day at work, and Carl's just like, oh God, I have to deal with the fact that he's got less sleep, or he's under stress, or whatever it is. Now, if you think of Carl as being a separate person from me, surely I would have a lot of compassion for Carl, right? Like, he's just really overworked. He has a really tough job. And the fact that I'm still alive, I'm still breathing, is pretty fucking impressive. But it's really hard to give that grace to yourself when you don't see it that way. And you just go, oh, I'm really hard, my body should be this, my body should be that. Well, your personal assistant is working its absolute life out, trying to make sure you can get up in the morning. Give it some credit, right? So if you take anything away from this evening, and I hope this isn't the only thing, but if you take one thing away, it would be give that personal assistant a little bit of credit, right? They're working so hard for you, and you expect so much from them, but you're alive. Especially the last couple of years, you are breathing, you're alive, you're here. Do you know how many chemical reactions have to happen in your body for that to happen? Do you know how many things need to happen? Even if you're struggling, you can have chronic illness, disability, whatever, but you're alive, right? So your personal assistant's working pretty damn hard and working with what they've got. So give them a little bit of a pat on the back sometimes. Thanks.